Why is that? Does anybody know why? It's a question. Yes?
Because the times have changed, the culture has changed, things have evolved, it grew.
Time,
Technology.
culture, technology, methods. Do you know that the Bible is the only book that was written in one time, but transcends all other times? It is the only thing that is interchangeably the same. It will stay the same. You can read it in 2020 and it will mean the same thing that it meant in 1980. The only difference is how it is applied in that time frame. So hermeneutics is going to teach us what the intent was behind them writing certain scriptures. Like certain scriptures that we interpret to mean one thing, that we think they mean something else, hermeneutics is going to teach us why it still is the same today. Okay? So, while there may be many valid applications for a text, there is only one valid interpretation. Everybody got it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say it again.
Say it again.
While there may be many valid applications for the text, there is only one valid interpretation. In other words, I can understand and apply the text to my life in one way, but there's only one way it's supposed to be interpreted. Okay? Mm-hmm. You can apply it different ways. You can apply it for right now, next week, but the interpretation stays the same. But then, once interpretation meets revelation, then you have an illumination of the text, which we will get into later on. Okay? All right, so the task of the interpreter is to ascertain the intended meaning, if possible, using these following tools. Number one, we must interpret grammatically, and secondly, we must interpret historically. Third, we must interpret critically.
Right.
You want to write that down. There are three ways that we are going to interpret a text. The first way is grammatically. Oh, what's wrong? Oh. We'll interpret grammatically. All right, so the historical critical method assumes that words and expressions have a relatively stable meaning during given periods of history. Which means how we talk now is not how they talk in the Bible days. You can tell that with the King James Version, because I don't talk to you like these and thus and thou shalt, thou wilt. I don't have time for all that. That's why it's important that when we look for Bibles, because I know how many use the King James Version? How many have to sometimes go get another version to kind of open it? That's me. The Message Bible is just as clear as I need it to be. It talks like we talk right now. So sometimes you have to
do both.
take another version just to kind of explain, what's going on in the scripture. So when you interpret grammatically, you begin taking what we can determine as normal everyday meaning of the words, phrases, and sentences to its farthest extent possible. So you'll understand what they're saying in their time and what it means in our time. What's the scripture I want to use? So many I could choose from right now. John 11. Go to John 11. The story of Lazarus. I believe it's John 11. Y'all confirm it. It is? John 11? Okay, go all the way down to where Lazarus is dead and he's laying in a tomb. During that time, what's a tomb? What's a tomb for us right now? What would we consider a tomb?
A casket, that's what you're talking about, right?
Right.
A casket.
A casket, the grave. Back in their days, a tomb was considered something that you could walk into, you could lay the body down, and that be it. But for us, a tomb would be to place a body in the casket, put it in the ground 6 feet under, and that's it. So it's the same thing that we're both talking about. It's just two different what?
Right.
Two different what? Interpretations, not quite what I'm looking for, but if I think a tomb is one way here in something A-D-B-C, then I believe that a tomb is a casket in 2000 and what year we in?
16.
16. Y'all help me. No. 2016. So that means the timing is different. So I interpret the text differently. It's not rocket science. I just interpret the text differently. So what hermeneutics does is it pulls out their original intent, brings it all the way from AD, and establishes it in 2016 so that we understand what God is saying right now. Okay?